the flywheel, the secret behind the success of Sam Ovens Wetube Consulting. So Sam Ovens was actually my second mentor when I actually joined the online coaching consulting space. And I joined the Consultant Accelerator program, I think it was back in 2019, and I learned a lot from this guy. And basically what I'm about to share with you in this video is essentially the machine that basically has driven Sam Ovens' success, and really kind of like diving deep on kind of like what he's doing now at the moment with his new Wetube Mastermind, which he's launched, and basically kind of breaking down the strategy so you can actually see how this structure works. And this is also going to give you some really sort of valuable insights into how you are actually running your business. So once you go through this from start to finish, you're going to have a different sort of perception on how your business may or may not be running, and you'll be able to see whether it's going in an upward spiral or whether it's going in a downward spiral, because what we're about to show you right now with this flywheel effect is some very powerful stuff to understand if you're trying to scale a business. So the very first thing that I want to touch on here is linear versus exponential growth. Okay, this is, again, if you've purchased from Sam Ovens before, you will know like in Accelerator, this is something that he kind of teaches as exponential growth. And basically 90% of businesses out there are linear, okay, which basically means that they kind of grow in that sort of like straight sort of linear line. Most companies can't even do it like that. Okay, there's usually like little spikes, there's little dips, there's spikes, there's dips, but typically they grow in this pretty kind of like flat line. Okay, and if you look at any like really successful person in the world, I really urge you to do this. Go onto Google, look at Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Donald Trump, or even like people like in this industry, Russell Brunson, Sam Ovens. If you actually look at the how their wealth has actually grown, it kind of starts off really, really slow. Okay, and all of a sudden it starts to compound, and then it spikes. It grows exponentially. And essentially what we're going to be unpacking in this video is how this exponential growth actually works, because essentially it is just a series of little actions that you put in every single day, which then eventually compound and kind of grow exponentially. But if you don't do this the right way, which I'm kind of going to get into the nitty-gritty details in a minute, if you don't do this the right way, what will happen is you will start to see a spike, okay? But then you'll hit like a glass ceiling on your business, and then it's pretty much basically a downward spiral from there to either burnout or your business is going to crumble. So we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty of how this stuff works, okay? And obviously, if you are kind of trying to grow a consulting business, you're going to want to be on that green line and not the red line. You will be looking to sort of grow a business exponentially. So this is essentially the flywheel, okay? And in the middle, you can see, obviously, this is basically growth. This is like, things that are happening in the business which are kind of causing this, okay? So if you look at like the smaller circle on the inside here, at the top, we have sellers, okay? So these are people, the closers, people that are kind of, dealing with, prospects on the phone or however it is you're selling them, right? Okay. So out of those people that they're dealing with on the phone, there is going to be a selection. They're not just going to want to work with everyone. So this is very fundamental part to make sure that you're actually selecting the right people to work with, because essentially if you're bringing somebody good into your program, obviously this person is going to add value to the group. If you're doing group calls, it's going to, other members are going to feed off the energy of that person. So it's really important that, you're picking the right people so that then the experience is better. Okay. So obviously if you're picking bad people, then obviously it's going to ruin the experience for other people within the program. Okay. And then from that experience, people having a good experience, then they're obviously going to be talking about, how amazing this program was. It's helped them do this, it's helped them do that. And from there, you get word of mouth, which is essentially traffic. And it just has this kind of like flywheel effect where it just doesn't stop, okay? But like I said to you, obviously, there are times when obviously they can grow to a certain point and then dip down. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. And then there's another flywheel on top of this as well. So if you've implemented all of these 4 steps from, the inner circle, okay, and you've got all of this growth coming in some cases, I'm not talking about all, I'm talking about some cases, this will obviously lower your cost within your business, okay? Therefore, you are able to offer lower prices to your customers. And with that, then obviously the experience is then better for them, okay? And then obviously that has this all sort of like, flywheel kind of compound effect where it just keeps kind of spinning, okay? So obviously, if you are getting value from this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and switch on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future content I release. Yeah, so we're going to move on to this one. So this is basically the anti-flywheel, okay? So this is, if you are using the one-on-one done for you, or this does kind of apply to the group coaching model as well, it can have like a reverse effect, okay? So obviously with like a one-on-one business model, you're coaching people one-on-one, so there's typically only so many people that you can work with through the day. So every new client that you bring on then obviously means that you have less time. Less time is going to mean that you're going to have less attention to give to your clients, and then less attention to your clients is going to mean that the client results are going to obviously tank. and then it obviously has like a downward spiral. You know what I mean? So essentially, like if you look at this the opposite way around, you know, this is what I was talking about, how it can grow your business, but then it can also spiral, because to start off with, new clients is going to be good. Yeah. And new clients is going to, you know, bring client results. It's going to, you know, you're going to be able to put more, you're going to be bringing people on, you're going to be able to put attention into them. You know, it's going to bring more client results, then you're going to get more people. But then when you hit, you know, possibly about 5 to sort of 10 clients, and you're using that one-on-one business model, then essentially it's going to be a downward spiral from them. The group coaching model, this is a little bit kind of different, because obviously with the more people that you bring on, you're coaching them in a group anyway, so you're not really using up more time. But with the more people that you are bringing on, that's less time to give to each individual client. Okay. So then obviously attention to clients is less. And then obviously client results, you know, are less as well. I've actually joined programs. I paid 5K for a program. I think it was either 2020 or 2021. I can't remember now. And essentially there was just so many people on the calls. I remember jumping onto like 3 calls, and there were so many people on these calls that I didn't actually get a chance to speak to the coach, which then kind of created a bit of a bad experience for me. And then I basically didn't go back. Right. So, you know, this is how things can kind of spiral out of control when you have the group coaching model in place as well. So essentially the mindset you want to sort of have when you are like sort of like looking at the bird's eye view of your business is like, if you have a machine where every customer you bring on, you know, makes the experience worse, then the worst thing that you can possibly do is basically bring on more customers, because it's either going to, you're either just going to burn yourself out because you're going to run out of time, or the experience is just going to be really bad. You're going to build up a really bad reputation, and it just doesn't make sense to keep kind of operating like that. So obviously, this is obviously like another example of, you know, the anti-flywheel, and this is a really, really common problem amongst coaches and consultants. This one also applies to course creators, which is basically undercharging for your services. Okay, because if you are undercharging for your services, then once you bring clients on, even if you have a course, it leads you to then obviously start chasing the next client to obviously make ends meet. You know, you're not making a lot of money, you have costs, you have all these expenses, but you're undercharging, which then means you're chasing more clients, which then means you give less attention to your current clients, which obviously means then the client results are going to be less. And it's basically going to lead to sort of burnout. You know, it's growth to a certain point, like I said before, and then there's going to be like a sort of steady decline. Okay. So we're going to sort of dive into like the Sam Ovens ecosystem, because obviously Sam teaches all of this stuff that I've just kind of like gone over. You know, he kind of teaches all of this stuff. This is the guy that initially brought this stuff to my attention. But what he's doing is he's kind of building a flywheel, but also with an ecosystem. Okay. So obviously there's also the risk with like, if you are marketing your business and you are just on one social media platform, there's also that kind of risk that overnight your business could literally just change, because, you know, especially on things like Facebook, they're always changing algorithms, they're always changing rules, they're changing things. So like they could bring in some rule which basically stops you from being able to market your business the way that, you know, you used to. So we're going to dive into it, like some more stuff in just a second on kind of what Sam's doing to basically counteract, you know, just basically, you know, diversify platforms and make sure that his business is continuing to grow. Is really, really intelligent way that he's doing this as well. So like I said, obviously he's launched that Wetube Mastermind, and essentially like, this is debatable because obviously he's calling it a mastermind. I know some people who have joined who are kind of like, you know, is this a mastermind or is it a course? Like I said, I've purchased Sam Ovens Up Level Consulting. That's how I actually built my course, and obviously scaled that to over 5 figures a month, you know, using that system. And he basically says, like, you know, in that program, this is one of his old ones, that like there's 3 main elements that make a program work. Okay, so you have, you know, the community, you have the course, and you have the support. Okay, so essentially, like with his old system, the course would be the thing that's at the top. That would be the number one thing. That's where people are learning, where people are getting the information from. But what he's done with this mastermind, he's essentially taken the same system, but then the community is at the forefront. Okay, so the structure is very similar. You're still doing 2 weekly calls per week, just like I would have been with my course business, which Sam taught me to build. But essentially, the community is the number one thing where you're going to be learning, you're going to be masterminding with people, really sort of just interacting with other people in the space who are maybe a little bit above you. So yeah, like I said, we have the community, we have the course, and then we have, you know, support systems. And essentially, that's what this Wetube Mastermind is about. So obviously, I touched on this a little bit a second ago about him diversifying platforms to minimize risk. Okay, so these are just basically Sam's you know, sources of traffic right now. Okay, so he's currently using YouTube organic, okay, which is evergreen, which is essentially why he's doing this stuff. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I kind of talk about how, you know, this stuff is evergreen. So a video you create today can still be getting views like 5 years down the line, which is essentially what he's done. He's built things up to the point where he's bringing in new leads and sales for his business every single day. YouTube ads, he's running YouTube ads, but the method that he's using to do this is very smart. Now, obviously you can get sales from YouTube ads straight away, but he's actually running YouTube ads so that he can build an email list, knowing fully well that most people who click on his ads and opt into his forum aren't going to buy from him straight away. So what he's doing is he's collecting these emails and then basically marketing to them 3 times a week through email marketing, which is then basically pushing people to, either a YouTube video, which he's created again, which is kind of goes back to YouTube organic, pushing them back to a YouTube video, pushing them to a podcast, pushing them to, a piece of content about kind of what he's doing, right? And then he's obviously also doing podcasts as well, because they are quite popular at the moment. And again, it's an evergreen system that he can use for his business. Okay, so those are like the main sources of traffic that he's using right now to pull people into his business. I've kind of like touched on this a little bit just a second ago about how he's not trying to sell people straight from YouTube ads. He's collecting emails and then he's marketing to them 3 times a week. So this is basically Sam's traffic warming strategy. Okay, so just in case you're not aware, cold traffic is somebody that just doesn't know who you are, doesn't know anything about you. Okay, but warm traffic is somebody that's kind of like aware of who you are. So if you clicked on one of my YouTube ads, gone through and opted in, you're essentially now warm traffic because you at least see my face, you at least know who I am. And this is how he's basically warming people up over time to eventually move them closer to being a client with him, okay? So don't worry if this looks a little bit confusing to you. It's really simple. I'm gonna break it down for you right now. So YouTube organic, again, we've touched on this a little bit a second ago. So basically, obviously, he's running YouTube organic as a way of getting traffic. Obviously, from YouTube organic, you can get sales straight away. Okay, so this is why it's got an arrow down the side pointing towards sales. He's also running YouTube ads, okay, which is very interesting because he's also using a strategy where you can retarget anybody who's watched any of your YouTube videos for your YouTube ads. So if you've watched his content and you like it and you watch it, then his YouTube ads are going to be showing up on, your YouTube whenever you go on, that kind of thing. So he's retargeting people with these ads. Obviously, from those ads, you can be getting sales from those as well. But like I said to you, obviously the main thing with those ads is for him to collect the emails, right? So he's collecting those emails and then he's marketing to these people through email. Like I said to you, he's actually sending them back to YouTube. Okay, so now he's sending them back to videos which are going to warm them up, right? And obviously from those emails, he's going to be getting sales from those as well. Also, marketing his podcast from emails. And then it's kind of like, the podcast can also be bringing in sales for his business as well. So essentially, he's got this whole kind of like ecosystem, which is kind of pulling in traffic from these different platforms. And, what I was saying about, how dangerous it can be to just market on one platform. They can make one change and then your whole business is gone. Like, if you can imagine that YouTube organic, YouTube all of a sudden just made this huge change and all of a sudden he couldn't market on that platform, he's okay because he's still got this kind of this ecosystem where it's bringing in leads from other places. Okay, so if you are getting value from this, please do leave a comment down below and just let me know kind of like what you've taken from this. Don't forget to obviously like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.